Hey buddy, it's Peter, and in this video we're going to go over the 2023 Kawasaki Vulcan S, which we have reviewed before, but we have not talked about this as a touring capable bike and really a bike that can do it all. So in this video we're going to talk about some of the accessories that you can really modify this bike to make it what you want it to be, and we're going to hit on a few things that the other videos don't talk about so that you can have a better idea of what this is and if it works for you. So first of all, I'm filming here at Jim Gilbert's Wheels and Deals, Jim Gilbert's Power Sports, and they give me complete access to their entire vehicle lineup. So if you have questions about this bike or anything else in the lineup, make sure you let me know in the comment section and hit subscribe, because I'll be able to answer your questions both in that comment section and in future videos. So let's get going with this review. So the first thing we need to say about this cruiser is that it is a sport cruiser. It is a different style cruiser than most, and that may make it more versatile than others as well. The first thing you need to know is it is a very light bike. It still has the low seat style, but it shares a lot of components with the other bikes in the Kawasaki lineup and not the cruisers. So when you see the suspension down here, that's very much like the Versa 650, which is one of the most versatile bikes. It's even got versatile in the name, versatile systems in the Versa 650. But this gives you a completely different feel. You also share that same engine, which is in the Ninja 650, but it also is in the Z650, Z650 RS, like I mentioned with the Versys and a bunch of other bikes, including this Vulcan S. But there are differences which we'll show you in this video. And the other thing is, although this is a parallel twin 650, it's down on engine size compared to some of the other cruisers in the Kawasaki lineup. This 6-speed quick revving engine is actually faster than many cruisers, especially faster than something like the Vulcan, the traditional Vulcan with the 900cc V-twin engine. So you have a bike that is both sporty to ride, but also very comfortable because it's a cruiser. It's got a low seat height, so it's good for beginners, and it's not the kind of thing that you're gonna outgrow because it's fast enough for you. So let's start taking a look at a couple of the features here just of the bike, and then we'll start talking about how you can add accessories on to make it the kind of bike you want. So when we talk about being a sport cruiser, you can really kind of see that just here in the design of the front area here. So first of all, compared to a cruiser, you have a little less sidewall than you would have on some of the other cruisers. So it's a little bit more of a sporty style tire. In fact, the width of it is the same width as most sport bike tires sold in the Kawasaki lineup. But this is an 18-inch rim. So the 18-inch rim, again, hints at more of a cruiser type style. So a little bit larger diameter wheel, but still a sporty profile to the tire, gives you that better handling cruiser, which is part of the fun here. Now, compared to the other 650 bikes with the one that shared the engine, you have a single disc instead of a dual disc. So again, you've got that style on the other side showing across this wheel, but you do have ABS here available. So that's ABS here on this ring here, and that makes it, again, very good for all-weather travel. So if you're going to hit the rain on a cruising tour or that kind of thing, you do have the ability to make sure you jam on those brakes and the front wheel shouldn't lock up. It should be using that ABS. You can see it here with the ABS sticker, but you can also see it here with that ABS ring. A couple little different style things here. You've got the little green line on the rim here. You've got the little fender protector there. This fender area here, or fender, this radiator cover, this radiator cover can be had in different styles. You can add chrome, lots of different things. We'll talk about some of that in a second. And then again, you've got your right side up forks with a little shield in front here to keep anything like bugs or dirt that hits there from breaking fork seals if they sit there for a while. So smart, simple design, nothing too crazy, but again, everything you need. Good handling tires, ABS brakes, good suspension. Let's move on further down the bike. So although this bike shares an engine with a lot of the other 650s, you can see that it really looks different than the other 650s. You've got your frame rails in front here. You've got the sort of thin style here. Now this is a liquid cooled bike. As I mentioned, the radiator here is underneath this panel. This is liquid cooled, but you have those for styling, so that looks pretty cool. And then you see some of the similarities with the other 650s. As you look at the exhaust there, the exhaust ends before it goes past that rear wheel, which is because really all the work from the exhaust is done underneath here in the sort of catalytic converter down there. So it can be a little stubby, shorty exhaust, which gives it a cool style, just kind of a cool feel. If you wanted to chrome up this whole area, there's all kinds of accessories to do that if you want. I kind of like the look of the plain black. And then you've got a simple shock over here. If you notice the Versa 650, it has the shock out to the side. This is very much the same. It has preload adjustment here, which means you can add weight to this bike and customize it all up for exactly how you would need it. If you had more weight, you can add preload and that kind of thing. You can lessen it off as well. So easy to reach, adjustable right there. And again, just kind of a cool, sporty, smart design that keeps all the weight down low and doesn't even push it too far back, which gives you a little bit more style, but it also gives you a little space for the accessories, which we're going to show you right now. So the Vulcan S is unique in this 650 parallel twin lineup among the other Kawasaki bikes because it is a solo bike. It does not come standard with a rear passenger area, and that means that you can customize it up any way you want. If you wanted to put a rear passenger seat on here and even a backrest, you can do that. But you can also put cargo racks across here. You can leave it blank as it is. You can put saddlebags on, and these are the premium saddlebags, which I really like. So the way that works is they have a mounting bracket in here, which mounts to a sort of a standard piece that comes with the original bike, and then you have plastic clips here that open up like this, and they can sort of hold open like that. Inside is a hard plastic bag or case, and then there's also a little bag in here which has zippered pockets and other pockets that you can use to hold things like your cell phone, other things, and there's a metal frame around there, so they hold their shape whether they're open or full, and it really increases the versatility of a bike like this, and you can see it's super simple to use, super simple to clip. So let's talk about that versatility here in the Vulcan S, because a lot of that versatility is actually hidden. The first thing I'm going to do is jump across. This is a nice low seat height. I'm about 6 feet tall, so obviously I'm quite tall for a bike like this. I don't need to be this tall. But the thing with this bike is it has an Ergo fit system, and what that means is that you can have the pegs moved in different areas, you can have the seat moved in different areas to be higher or lower, and you can adjust the handlebars in different areas, and you can do that all from the factory. So if you're very short, like 5'2", or quite tall, maybe 6'2", this is a bike that will fit you. And that's where it gets a little bit tricky, because the way it's set up from the factory is kind of that mid position of everything. So you can see you have it like this. But if you think about a comfortable cruiser bike, something you would want to take on a long trip, you want to make sure that everything is set up where you want, but you don't have to adjust it just per your size, right? You can sit there and have a longer reach if you want to. You can sit there and have a shorter reach if you wanted to. You can move the foot pegs around. So it's not just that it's adjustable for your size, it's adjustable for the position that you want to be in when you ride. That makes it great for newer riders of all heights and also experienced riders because they can have the position that they want. So that's just the invisible part. And then when you think about this as a longer distance touring bike, you could add a windshield here. There's lots of options for windshield. There's little cafe racer style windshields in there. There's a medium and a high windshield, and they also are a part of the Kawasaki quick release system. So you can mount a windshield on here that you can keep on for a tour, but take off for your around town driving. You can let the wind hit you on a really hot day, but put it back on for a longer tour. And of course, adding the bags really allows you to sort of customize it up. And that's the other nice thing about some of the features on the back here as well. If you added a rear passenger seat, you could take that on, take that off. You could add the backrest, take it on, take it off, and you can really customize this bike. And part of what makes that unique is that it's not just a bike that you can customize for the way you need it today. Instead of having to get a new bike, adding that passenger seat, adding those luggage means you could take someone else on a tour. You could take it all off, strip it down, just keep these on to do your daily commute. So there's a whole bunch of reasons why this bike really makes a lot of sense as a bike that will do it all for you and do it all for you as you change. If you like riding more sporty and you don't want to have everything on here, this is still a sport cruiser. It's not something that, you know, like if you think about the average roads that you drive that are sporty, this isn't a racetrack bike, but it can really lean in the corners a little bit more than the average cruiser, and it's more fun to drive around on-street corners than some of the other cruisers out there. And like I said, because it revs a little bit more, it's actually quicker than many other cruisers as well. So you have your speed, you have your versatility, which means this is one bike that can really do everything for you. Now, there are a couple things that are different in this 650 versus something like the Versus 650, which is also a very versatile bike with a completely different style. Let's take a look at the dash and show you some of that. So with Kawasaki's cruiser lineup, they really try to keep things traditional, but this has a few extra things. You do have a tachometer, and that matters because instead of being a low revving, power in the low revs, all torque and not a lot of horsepower type bike, this has the Ninja engine. So you can rev it out to about 9,500 RPM, and you can make good mid-range power in the mid-range, but continue to build horsepower right up to basically redline. So having a tach is important on this bike because that's part of where you get the speed. Now, something like the Versus 650 is a more updated 650 in the lineup. It gives you a full TFT display. That bike has traction control, but really you're getting all the features you need here. So I'm going to see if I can zoom in just a little bit to this blue area here because I want to make sure I show you everything I can. So let's just see if we can get that zoomed in a little closer. Oops, going the wrong way. There we go. So as we zoom into this information display, although it doesn't have a TFT display, it really does show you a lot. So you can see right now the fuel light is flashing. You have a fuel gauge across the bottom here, And just so you know, each bar goes away, and then when you're on your last bar, you're not fully empty until it starts flashing. Once you see it flashing like it is, that gives you an idea of, that it is time to definitely get fuel at that point. A couple of the little things, a lot of cruisers, they only have the signal lights. Signal lights can't see there? No, we'll show you that in just one second. So let's move on to what you do have. You have a permanent clock up here. You have a gear indicator as well. And again, this is a 6-speed bike, so you have an extra gear compared to some cruisers there. And it's always visible to see what gear you're in. Clear speedometer there. And then on the top right, you have your odometer right now. But we're going to cycle through some of the features right there. So you have odometer. You also have trip A and trip B. So those are, again, basic odometer functions there. Then you move through and you have your instant fuel efficiency. So it's currently set to kilometers per liter. It could be liters per 100 kilometers. It could be miles per gallon. You can cycle that through whatever you want it to be. It will be that. And that's your instant fuel efficiency. There's also an average fuel efficiency. And then you come through and there is range. So that is a range calculation based on how you have been driving, how much fuel you have left in kilometers essentially, which tells you right there. And then you're back to your odometer. So again, even though it doesn't have a TFT display, you have your tachometer and you have almost all of the information you need. Let's pull back out for a second here. And I want to show you those signal lights there. Again, a lot of cruisers have the single signal light. You can see that I have a left signal here, I have a right signal there, and I also have hazard lights. So on a touring type bike where you might be pulling over on the side of the road, poor weather conditions, getting changed if the weather changes, or even just trying to figure out where you're going on a GPS or a map, you have the ability to add or to have your four-way flashers on, and you can see them on like that as well. Let's show you some of the controls here, and then we'll talk about a few other accessories which make this bike really good for cruising and touring. So basic controls here, you have your headlights, your signals, your horn, and there's that hazard lights, those four-way flashers right there. What you can't see here is there's a little trigger here. Maybe you can just sort of see it at the edge of my finger. A little trigger there that can flash your headlight or your high beam essentially. So your low beam is always on, your high beam is there, but you can just flash that to get people's attention to make sure that you can get their attention, be seen as well, because that's one of the key things is being seen. And then you have the adjustable levers here as well. Both your brake lever and your clutch lever are adjustable for reach using just push this out, turn that knob whichever way you need it to be closer or further away, and whatever size your hands are, that will fit your hands. Now the nice thing about that is you can also adjust it on the fly. It's not just adjust it to your fingers and leave it. If you find that on a, lots of in town, you want to have it a little closer to you, or you want to, on a longer tour, maybe move it away just for a change of feel, you can do that. Maybe you have different gloves on and they sort of grip, they're thicker in your palm or something like that. They want to grip differently. You can move that on the fly. It's not just a one-time thing. You can adjust it anytime. And that again goes to making this bike really comfortable. Now, speaking of controls and other things, what if you wanted to add a GPS? Let's talk about that. Two accessories that I think are great for touring is a 12-volt port, which you can add to this bike, and then you have lots of handlebar space. So you may have to run a cable or something like that, maybe under the tank or other places, but you can plug in that 12-volt port, and you can also have lots of handlebar space to add something like a GPS or your cell phone to keep it charged, keep it running. A lot of cell phone mounts even have wireless charging built in, so you can do all that. You can mount it up here with, again, all kinds of handlebar space. And then the other feature that is really good, I'll talk about right now. We already talked about the saddlebags here. Now, of course, the saddlebags are not lockable. For most people, that is what it is. It's perfectly fine. But if you did want to be able to lock, for instance, your helmet to the bike, you can add a helmet lock on this side down here as an accessory as well that allows you to just clip in the helmet on the side of the bike, hang it off the side, and that means you don't have to take everything with you wherever you go. And that's really nice because the helmet is one of those things that's just kind of hard to take every place, and you can add that to this bike as well. So if you decide that you want this bike and you're going to set it up for various things like, for instance, touring, a couple things to remember if you're going through the accessory catalog or if you're going through the website that shows you some of the accessories. A lot of the accessories are going to require an extra piece. So for instance, right here is the saddlebags. You also need the saddlebag mounting. If you're going to put a rear passenger seat up here, it's not just about the rear passenger seat or the passenger seat in the backrest. You're also going to need to mount the foot peg. So just make sure you get all of that as well. Windshield, same thing. You can get a quick release windshield or a regular windshield. The quick release windshield, actually, I'm a big fan of because I think I like the cruiser style kind of like it is. I like the wind when you're driving around town or driving around slower speeds, having that wind come through can be nice, especially on a hot day. So you have to decide if you want a quick release windshield or not quick release windshield, sort of fixed windshield. And then of course you have to decide on the heights of the windshield. If you get the quick release, it's quicker to change between a mid-size and an upper level one. But if you just want to choose whatever size you want, that works as well. Little things like accessory lighting is also very good. This bike, like we mentioned, mentioned, not quite as up to date as something like the Versus 650, which has the full LED lighting. This one just has the incandescent lighting. So you can add accessory driving lights. You would need to add as well the bar on there to hold those lights, and potentially a relay on some of those lighting type things. So just keep in mind that when you add these accessories, the entire bike is equipped to do that, but it may be, you know, a couple accessories that you're not thinking about. So always check with your Kawasaki dealer to make sure you're getting the accessories that you want. So let's finish up with who this bike is for. The Vulcan S is one of those really rare bikes that in many ways is for many, many people. It's kind of that bike for everyone. If you're a newer rider, the power on this is, you know, quite a bit, but it's very, very manageable. It's one of the engines that I call the perfect engine for the street. It gives you plenty of power to have all the power you would need while you're driving, but it also is a manageable powertrain that you can handle when you're a newer rider. Of course, the lower seat height makes it really easy to handle if you're newer and you're new to bikes overall. You can always keep both feet flat on the ground, and that's helpful. But it also suits different styles of rider. If you are new to motorcycling and you're not sure what style of riding you want, as long as you know you're not going off-road, this might suit your style. You're very comfortable, but you can go around corners a little easier, a little bit quicker than other bikes, especially other cruisers, and the overall feel of the bike is very, very light underneath you, so you can move it around and feel very comfortable with that. Because of the Ergo fit, it'll fit people who are shorter and taller, and that can help you with resale as well. If you're taller or shorter, you can have this bike as it is fit a whole bunch of different people with just a few tweaks and adjustments. And then the fact that it's been around a little while, the fact that it hasn't had some updates means it's not just the Kawasaki line of accessories, which is pretty extensive on this bike, but there's also a good aftermarket series of accessories because it's worth it for them to make aftermarket accessories for a bike that has been on the market for many years. And again, a couple little tweaks have improved here. You got a gear indicator in there, a couple little things in there, but overall, this bike hasn't changed a lot, and that's because it's really great for a lot of people. It's very customizable in its size, and by not changing it, the aftermarket accessories have really filled out so you can make this bike whatever you want. It's one of the few bikes that is really for everyone. Zipping around town, driving a long ways, it works for everyone. So tell me what you think. If you own this bike, tell me what your experience is with it. Let's create a little database of information for people. And again, if you have questions about this bike, let me know in the comments below because I'm filming here at Jim Gilbert's Wheels and Deals, Jim Gilbert's Power Sports. This is the #1 volume Kawasaki dealer in the country. There's a number of Vulcan S's here right now. You can check them out for yourself. And of course, if you want to know more, we can bring it back on video and make another video for you. Thanks everybody for watching.